on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, before I get started, I just want to say over the past couple weeks or so, we've gotten a pretty big jump in subscribers. So thank you all of there who are new, hitting that subscribe button, and to all of you who are sharing, commenting as well. I greatly appreciate it. If you are new and just came to this little episode here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me. You can go ahead and do it right now. Thank you. Again, thank you, all you out there who are subscribing and commenting, sharing. Greatly appreciated. Seth, what do you think?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, now I've got that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Now, I have already got 3 of the 5 cam bearings installed, and before I go ahead and install the last 2, I just want to say there is no replacement for a good machine shop. Okay, remember that. But if you're like me and you like to do this stuff on your own, let's get to it. So here's what we've got. Now I've got a set of cam bearings right here. As you can see, I've got the 2 that we still need to install. And in case you are wondering, yes, they do go in order. Let's see if I can get this one here. This is the very front. You can see it's got the CH-10 and then it has another -1. So this goes in either the front or the rear of the block. And of course, we got number 2 here. So it says it CH-10-2. Now -2 will either go in the second one in the front or second from the rear. And then of course the center one is a 3. So it'll, when you get the box, it'll go 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. And I'm also going to be installing these last 2 cam bearings with a universal style tool. And I've got a bearing specific puck. On the end of our tool, yeah, we got 2 new joiners, Rebecca and Delilah. Say hi, you two. Hi. So we're going to install those 2. Like I said, one's a universal style and the other one is a bearing specific puck. I do want to say this too before I start pounding bearings in there. If you're going to do this on your own and you've pulled this engine from a vehicle in the junkyard, get the VIN number. It does help with identifying what style of bearings will go into this block. Now, I know, some of us have seen other videos out there where they'll go to put cam bearings in and they'll fall out. It's because the bore here for the bearings, there are 2 different styles for this generation. I believe there's this 2 different styles for Gen 4 as well, but one's slightly bigger, so the ID of the bearing is the same. It's the OD of the bearing that fits in the block, and the width of the bearing. There's a couple different variations, so if you can get the VIN number, get the VIN number. I'll put a link to these bearings in the description, and I got them off eBay, and of course the description for these bearings, the guy was really cool. He put the different sizes in his description of that, so it'll help you identify which bearing you have or need. But anyways, I got Seth up here. He's going to be doing some recording for us. I'm going to go ahead and grab the tool here. I'm going to install bearing number 2 using the bearing specific puck there. And then we'll go ahead and switch it out and install the very front bearing with our universal style. So, you ready, Seth?
Sure am.
All right, so bearing number 2. Now I do want to show you this. You get down in here. Now, see the bearing fits nice over there, and you can see how it sits up against this edge. It's got a good contact all the way around, which helps with the installation. Now another thing you want to look at too, come on over here, bud. Get down in here. Let's see. You see that really quick? We'll go ahead. Now, bearing number 2, you're going to want to align, let's see, these little ports up here with the ones in the block. because that is what the oil passes through to lubricate your bearings. So make sure you align those up when pounding your bearings in. All right, here you go, bud. So come on down in here. Go ahead, and what I'll do is I'll set the bearing up in place real where it needs to go. Make sure that the little guys line up with our oil guys in the block as well. All right, I'll go ahead and take this guy here. Make sure she's lined up. Just pull that out one last time, make sure we're good to go. Nope. Which is good I checked, because I'd have been not good. Alright. Line that up. Almost. Batting 1,000 of missing right now. Alright, so that little guy is lined up. We'll go ahead and set this up into place. I'm going to use this guy to help center. Now what I'll do is I'll hold my hand here. Can you see my hand? Mm-hmm. To help center this guy up and to keep this tool from bouncing. You do not want to bounce on the bearing. All right, now go ahead and watch me drive the bearing in. Go ahead and get a couple good taps. Make sure she's lined up. All right, I'm gonna pull that out real quick. What I'll do is I'll grab the flashlight and this little mirror right here. I'm gonna shine a flashlight down this little hole because that's where it goes through, and then we'll use the mirror. You see the mirror? Now if you can, yeah, so the bearing is covering half the hole, so it still needs to go in just slightly farther, which you can see here, it's not almost center. So we still have to drive the bearing in just a little bit farther. Go ahead and take that back out. Use our mirror and our flashlight one more time. Put that here. Oh, now you can see, you get down in there. Now you can see our bearing lines up with the hole in the block. And you can see around all the way around the bearing here that we did not damage this edge installing it with the specific tool. Now what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and get this guy off. Put that right there so I don't drop it. Go ahead, get this guy changed out real fast. Put the adapter on. And we're going to use this guy here. Now remember to line up those splits, that way it does what it's supposed to. All right. Boom. Now we got bearing number 1. Come on over here. Make sure to get these guys lined up as well. Now before I go pounding it in, I will show you this. Now here is what the universal tool looks like. So you see it's universal. It fits many different styles of bearings. But you slide the bearing on there and you have to tighten this up, and what it does is it expands these guys here to come up against the bearing. You gotta make sure you get it nice and snug, and the bearing sits all the way back. But now if you look at that, you'll see it doesn't make perfect contact all the way around. Now because of that, it will kind of damage this edge right here installing this bearing with this tool. But as long as it just damages that edge, so if you come right here, it hits against this edge right here, and as long as it just damages that edge, you will be okay, because the bearing or the cam will ride on this area here. If you damage this a little bit, that's no big deal. We can always just clean it up. As long as we don't damage this area here, we should be okay. So, and to show you guys can do it, I am installing this last bearing and on my engine, and I'm going to run it. Just to make sure these guys all line up. Okay. Tighten that up. So, make sure she's nice and snug. This in. So. All right. Alright, now it's got to go in just a little bit farther. Get this guy out. See where it lines up. You're almost there. Let's see if you can find the mirror. Yep. Yep, no, we are all the way in. So, see if you can set. There you go. You see the light shining through the little hole in the bearing? Oh. You see the hole on the mirror there? Okay. So, that is all the way in. Now, here's what I was talking about. Because it's universal and only has a smaller lip to catch that bearing, here's what it does. You come right here, you see it just gets that edge. And this is actually kind of in the way of the bearing or of putting the cam in. So what we're going to do is here. Here's our cam. Our new camshaft we will be installing. I'm going to show you what it's going to do. So if we were to come over here, you'll see the cam does not really want to go in. That's because that universal tool has kind of messed that edge up, like I said. So what we're going to do, I probably should have had this out already. We're going to use this little deburrer tool. I'm just going to come over here and clean this little edge up. And it's just the outside edge that got damaged by that tool. So if you come down here, bud, and you'll see that I've cleaned that edge off where it was damaged by that tool. Oh, got a little bit right up in here. I still got to clean up. Go ahead and clean that off real quick, and then I'll grab that cam and I'll throw it in there.
Good. Yep.
All right, so we used the little deburrer tool. You use this when I cut stainless pipe or whatever. You don't have to use this. You can use something else. But come on over here, Seth. Now again, just to clarify, you can see, get down here on this edge. The edge is all cleaned up. You go ahead and take that, move it all the way around, come back so you can see. There you go, so it focuses. Now if you look right here, you can see kind of where you see that little edge right there, where the little dimple in between these two. That's where that tool expanded. And you got another one right here, and another one. I mean, there is 4. There's one right there, and there's one right there. And it doesn't quite make contact with that edge, so it does kind of mushroom this just a little bit, and you will have to clean it up every single time if you use a universal tool. But we've gone ahead and cleaned it up. I'm gonna go ahead and install the cam. Nice and easy. And that is the only one that we had to touch. The other 4 bearings were installed using the correct size install tool. So, and this is just a test fit. I will be pulling this camshaft back out. But I want to show you that it does fit. And all our cams bearings are installed and lined up. So this would be sitting right there. We'd have a plate there, of course. I got my hand holding it in the back, and you can see that I am turning this by hand. It is not binding up in any way. So we are good to go. Now, I am going to say this, and a buddy of mine had shown me this trick once before. Because of what the universal tool does to your bearings when installing them, especially if you don't get it tight enough, you can always use the old, oops. I'll go ahead and put this back in the box. I'll grab the old camshaft. Wherever I put that thing. You can always use the old camshaft. Take a cutoff wheel and put 3 lines in this edge right here. And that right there, when you go to install it, you take it and turn it, just kind of cleaning up the edge of each bearing along the block. And it'll help you line everything up, because it'll be such a pain to get in there with anything else. Can't really get a deeper tool throughout the whole block. So you can take the old cam, put a couple slashes in there, kind of turn it in, and it helps clean up the edge of all those bearings. Now that only works if the tool only damaged the lip. You all right over there, buddy? Yeah. Little guy's falling down. Like I said, that'll only work if you didn't damage the bearing itself or the mating surface for the cam. As long as it just damaged the edge, then you'll be okay. So keep that in mind. Now, there are a couple pros and cons to this. So we got this guy. Come on over here to the tool. Now I will put a link to both these in the description so you can choose. But this puck here goes to another tool. I ordered the universal tool. For one, it has a 1-inch OD shaft here. This specific puck has a 1-inch ID. I just drilled the end out so I can use it on this tool. But now, the pro of a universal tool is, well, it's a universal tool. It fits a bunch of different size bearings. And, well, this specific tool here, probably, I can't remember exactly the price offhand, but it costs, I want to say, between 50 and 60 bucks. And it comes with all those fittings, so you can do a bunch of different sizes. But that is also the con of this thing. It's universal, fits a bunch of different sizes, and it does that because this guy here has to expand. And because it does that, it has to fit many different size bores. You may or may not get the correct amount of surface against your bearing when installing it, so most likely it's going to damage it. Now, bearing specific, like I said, the pro, it's bearing specific. It's only going to fit that specific bearing. It's also the con. In order for that to work, you have to have a bunch of different size pucks to fit, of course, a bunch of different size bearings. So, if you don't mind buying a universal tool and using this, and just using your old camshaft to help clean up your bearings, there you go. It's cheap, it's fast, it's easy. You just got to put in a little bit more work. These are a little bit more expensive. Matter of fact, this little guy here was about a third of the or 2/3 the cost of this whole tool. So this is like 40 bucks, or no, between 50 and 60 bucks. I want to say this little guy here was 30 bucks by itself without the rest of it. So it costs a little bit more, but it's faster. You don't have to clean up the bearing. It fits exactly what it's supposed to fit. Like you saw there when we put the cam in, it fit all the other bearings. The only one we had to clean up this. So remember to keep that in mind. Or you can always just take it to a machine shop. Like I said, there's no replacement for a good machine shop. And I'm not exactly sure how much it costs, but if you're not comfortable with it, I'd go to a machine shop. That way you get them installed correctly. I'm just doing this to show you can do it by yourself on a budget. So, and it will work. Like I said, I got the bearings installed with both tools. I'm going to run it just to show you guys it can be done. But universal tool is a little crude, but it is cheaper. So, like I said, I'll put a link to both of these. I got this because I like to use it to knock the old bearings out. Don't really care if it destroys them. We're good. We're fine. And then when I get the time, like I said, I ordered this after because I wanted to show the difference. So if I ever use any other or replace cam bearings on any other engine, I'll go ahead and use this and knock them out, and then just get the measurements and order one of these guys to fit that bearing. So either way, cool tool. You're doing it at home. You're learning something. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get that cleaned up here real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the crankshaft in, and we're going to check clearances. So I'll be back here in a second. Alright, so I wanted to get the crank in there so we can check clearances, but I had to get it washed up real quick. So when I say real quick, I mean that's in YouTube magic. So I've actually been out here all day cleaning parts. But anyways, come on here, bud. So we got most of this crank all cleaned up. Pretty much ready to put back in the block so we can kind of check clearances. But just like what we did on the crank in that car, I went ahead and just kind of cleaned everything up on it. So all these journals here from back here all the way forward, as you can see, have been cleaned up. I've gone ahead and cleaned up the front as well, but I wanted to leave this guy here just kind of like a little, just to show you how I did it. Now last time I did it on that crank over there, I had a really long piece of it says waterproof 320, and I did it by hand rolling it. One of you guys out there suggested using string, so we're gonna try string today. Go ahead and get some fluid on here, get some cleaning solution on there. Make sure it's nice and wet. I don't want to do it dry. So go ahead and put that in there. Take our wet dry cloth, wrap it around. Now I wanted to try this ever since I was told. I have seen other people do it on YouTube, so wrap it around the crank there. Go ahead and take the string. All right, let's see. All right, we got our crank all cleaned up last night. We got it dried off, blown out. And as you can see here, we got it sitting in the block. So I'll show you what we got. All right, so here is that rod journal we were cleaning up last night. Turned out actually really good. It's nice and smooth. Now, it's definitely a neat little trick, wrapping the paper around the journal and then using that string and wrapping it around that, pulling on it. It felt like it got all the way around. Now I did learn, however, that the more wraps you can get with the string, the better control I had with it, and it just felt smoother all the way around. And as you can see here, it did come out fairly decent. Now, I have also gone ahead and already installed the main caps, and I have used plastic gauge in between the crank and the bearing just to check our bearing clearances. As you can see there, I got them on all of our journals. I did wipe it off the front already, however, but let's see, go ahead and find it. So there you go. Here's our plastic gauge, and here's our little checker tool. We'll go ahead and get in there. So, judging by that, it is between, so there's 0.0015 and 0.002. Now that little mark is slightly bigger than 0.002 and slightly smaller than 0.0015. Which means it is pretty close to being within factory spec. As a matter of fact, we'll come over here to our book. And if you get down here to, there we go, stock to moderate high performance, main bearings are 0.0008 to 0.0021. And from what our plastic gauge says, we actually fall within that range there. So for stock and moderate high performance, we would be good to go ahead and throw these main caps back on that engine, get them torqued down, and start moving on from there. But I do plan on pushing this thing a little bit farther, spinning it a little bit higher with the help of that cam you guys saw me take in and out of that engine. I will be introducing that later, but that cam will definitely allow me to spin it a little bit higher. And because I want to do that, I want to give it a little bit more clearance. Basically around the, here I'll show you. Basically around the moderate high performance to racing range. So in between where it says the 2.5 and 2.7. So between 2.5 and 3 is about where I would want to put it. And it's kind of along the same main tolerances I have in this car. And it's worked out for me. But anyways, like I said, if we're going to go stock to moderate, this is good to go to move on from there. But I want to spin it a little bit higher, so I did order a new set of bearings. And that's where I'm at with the engine right now. I've actually got to get the pistons and stuff cleaned up so we can move on, like to get our ring gaps and check our rod bearing clearances. But I do not want to stuff a set of dirty old pistons in that freshly cleaned block. So I am gonna end this video right here. Oh yeah. Now on our little whiteboard here, like I said, I would be writing down things that we have come across or done. So as of right now, our engine, we have 450. The cam bearing set we have installed in this block were roughly 27 bucks. Just a little, slightly less than 27, but I rounded up. As well as our PRW main stud kit. I paid about 160 for that, which brings our total right now to $637 is what we have sitting right there. So, as I introduce new stuff to this engine build, I will be writing it up on that board and kind of going over it with you at the end of the video. So, but anyways, like I said, right now I am going to end this video right here. I got to get some stuff cleaned up so we can move on. Hope you guys liked it. If you're new and you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button for me. Turn on notifications. Hope this gives you guys a lot of good ideas. Or if you have suggestions, like I said, put them in the comments. Tell me what you think. Let me know if you've got other ideas. But again, you guys, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the video. And I'll catch you on the next one.